A Potentia. This is one of those summer mixes. This plant is amazing. It's about knee-high, ball-shaped. It's been in bloom since May, and it will continue to bloom through October. A huge bloom cycle. What I like about this, it's a pollinator, butterflies and that kind of stuff like it. And then I have javelina problems. I don't know how many of you all have javelina and rabbits and deer and stuff. They don't eat this. I mean, it looks delicious. I want to add some ranch dressing and have a little taste, but it's got a sap to it that just has a flavor they don't like. So you'll see it right out there exposed in the sun, right there where herds of javelina float, and they don't bother this plant. So it's a real good plant for here. Very drought hardy. Once you get this thing rooted, so at first with the root ball real small, it's more sensitive, but once you flush that root ball out, it's really robust. It'll take blistering hot on a south-facing wall, radiant heat, once a week watering, it's fine. It just blooms like this. Ninebark, this is an amazing plant. Very unusual. Folks in the Midwest, you know what this is. This is more of a shaded, actually it'll take quite a bit of sun, but in those darker spots in the garden, north sides, east side, even direct west, this plant's got a beautiful like oak leaf to it. And then it's got incredible fall color and very fragrant flower to it. Gets up about this high or so, very easy to care for, but just an unusual plant. You don't see it, you only see it show up this time of year at the garden centers. So Ninebark. Nope, only has one name. I wish it had 10 bark or 8 bark. It only has 9 bark. Yeah. Oh, cultivar. I'll let you look at it later. Pyrocarpus. There you go. Try to spell that or say that 10 times fast. You can come up and look at it. There's 2 or 3 varieties down in the lower greenhouse. Let's go over to this one. This is the only really, well, there's 2. Okay, yes.
One more, the Rose of Sharon.
Yep.
Deer and javelina.
So do deer and rabbits eat javelina, eat this particular plant? You'll see this growing in a lot of neighborhoods where deer and rabbits and stuff are, and it's fine. So I think they're going to leave this alone. Now, with that being said, we never say proof. We say resisted, because some deer, they don't actually read the list.
Yeah.
And they say, or what the way deer, they've got a digestive system like a cow. They've got 2 stomachs. They chew their cud, and they're chewing stuff. They don't actually realize it makes them sick to their second stomach yet. So they'll nibble on stuff. They're grazing through. They'll nibble some, and then they realize, oh yeah, that's right, I don't like this. Let's move on. They love fruit trees. They love aspens. Those are natural. Now they don't eat this. This is a Spirea. This is one you'll find in the summer. You really only find it the June through fall season, so the heat season. It does this from now through fall. It's amazing. Animals they detest this particular plant. It grows up about that tall, kind of ball-shaped, much like a Potentia. These 2 guys, these are companion plants. These go in the same gardens all the time. Animals don't eat either one of these, and they're consistent bloomers. So Spirea, there's probably 3 or 4 varieties down there. They come in different foliage colors, and then they come in different flower variations, pink basically. So great, and it looks like bees are on. Salvia or autumn sage, this is the common name. Gets up about, I don't know, 3 feet or so. Kind of vase-shaped, or ball-shaped. Comes in reds, pinks, whites, purples, apricots. We're trying to introduce more colors all the time. And the reason animals don't like this is when you rub it, the reason it's called autumn sage, it has a very sagey scent to it. So you smell the sage kind of herbal scent. Animals don't like herbs. They don't like anything about herbs. I don't know why. Just as something, a defense the plant has thrown into itself to say, animals don't like herbs, smell like an herb, and they won't eat me. So it's a defensive thing they put on. So this is a great one for hummingbirds. They just think they've died and gone to heaven. Literally, I've seen hummingbirds dart across a yard, spot this, and go whoosh, boom, right back into it, just like that. They just love this plant. Let's talk about trees. 2 types. This is a Vanderwolf pine. We have to cover some evergreens because we do have some of the largest evergreen forests on the continent. Some of the largest ponderosa forests anywhere. Evergreens do really, really well here. Junipers, pines are the main ones, but cypress, you've got an Arizona cypress, it grows wild just right over the other side of this hill, just towards Skull Valley. That's where they grow wild. Some of the juniper trees you see, they aren't junipers, they're cypress. And so they just do really, really well here. This particular pine is related to ponderosa pine. It's a Vanderwolf pine or a white pine. The beauty of it is it's just soft. Most evergreens are so pokey, you'd be like little red dots all over your arms the second you look at it. This one, you can't go by it without touching it. And then the needles are two-toned. So it's got green on one side, blue on the other, or white. It's got two-tone needles. It's almost like a beautiful gal that's gone to the salon and come back with, wow, nice looking hair, honey. That's the pine tree. That's this guy, okay, this gal. When you plant an evergreen, make sure you stake it, any size. And here's the reason why. So you're gonna add a stake on either side, even a great big, we've got some big 6 foot, 7 foot, 200, 300 pound pine trees over there. Fast growing Austrian pines. They'll keep themselves upright. They don't need to be staked unless we get a heavy, wet snow. What will happen is you'll have this thing rooting out, it'll send off new root hairs, real fine white root hairs, and come March, what will happen is we'll get this really heavy, wet snow. The plant will actually load up with snow and then it will just fall over, just like that. It doesn't damage the tree. You can prop it right back up and it'd be fine. But you just lost or broke all those root hairs. So now you're resetting back to square one again. If we can just keep that tree from falling over that first year, just the first growing season, and it won't fall over, those root hairs keep going, and then once that second year hits, they bulk up enough, it keeps that tree upright. Nothing can take it over. So this is really important for the bigger, like spruce, the Christmas tree looking ones. You really need to do that for those. Just year one. If it's been 2 years, you still got these ugly lodgepoles on there, take them off. You don't need it anymore. That's the one insider tip I can give you on pine trees specifically. Any evergreen, juniper, spruce, cypress, fir, cedars, all those are the same. Okay? If you get into something like this is a maple. This one I don't need to put on the. This is an autumn blaze maple. It gets that red leaf to it. It's the #1 seller for maples. The reason this is the #1 seller is that it's got the classic maple leaf, and this one does not tear or get wind torn or wind damaged. So the wind can be so ferocious it'll actually take the leaf, actually tears it, and so like Acer rubrum, it'll end up with this torn look, and yeah, it grows, but it's hideous looking. Who wants that kind of maple? This one, the way the serration is on the leaf, it seems to let the wind pass through it and doesn't tear up. It's the fastest growing of the red maples. That's another reason. So this thing will grow. This is all new growth right here. That's just, and it's not done. It'll be this much by the time we're done. What happens with these big leafed trees? They're like huge parachutes, huge sails. They just catch the wind. And so what will happen is in the spring, we'll get this prevailing southwest wind. It just blows nonstop, day and night. It's always blowing this mild wind, mainly in the spring. Almost wish it'd blow now, but it's not. But in the spring, what'll happen is all the new foliage will come out and it'll start to lean to the northeast. And so you'll go through your neighborhood, you'll see trees are they're leaning. They're always leaning the same way. The whole neighborhood is leaning the same way. That's because they weren't staked that first year. So this tree, I would plant this in my yard. It's a substantial tree. It's got a major trunk. Looks starting to get the canopy to it. It's a little bit young yet, but it'll get fuller. This is a 35 by 25 foot tree, a true shade tree. I would put lodge poles on it on either side. Just see this other root ball. I would tie it just once right there. I would let it bend. I would let it go in the wind, but I wouldn't let it lean over. So the stakes I would keep on there for 1 year. What I would do the next spring, as I'd clip the ties, whatever I'm using there, and then I would just keep the stakes in the ground until I had my first windstorm. And I'd go, oh, how did it hold up? Did it stay up? If it stood up after the first major windstorm, I'd break those lodge poles off and get rid of them. If it needs to go back on, Well, the lodgepoles, getting them in the ground, that's the hard part. It's easy to tie it back up, so I leave those on. I don't commit to breaking those off until I know it's really going to take the wind. But usually we keep you'll see your neighborhoods where the trees are majorly mature, planted 10 years ago. They're still on lodgepoles. Those should have been pulled off years ago. So we're keeping we're keeping our stakes on too long. But for the first year, especially fruit trees, like apples, the peaches are coming off right now, plums are loaded. This is a good fruit year. You get a big canopy of this apricot tree or pear tree. It'll load up and put 500 pounds of pears on, and it's leaning like this. Literally, I've seen them fall on the ground. Literally, they just fall right over because they weren't growing straight. So if they got a great scaffolding or structure to it, and they're growing straight, that tree can hold a tremendous amount of weight. But if it's leaning, all of a sudden those roots, there's any weakness in the roots, falls right over. Okay, questions on that? Then we'll cover watering. What's that?
How tall would you say that?
Oh, I don't know, 12 feet or so. I don't know, guys. Some of you contractors know better, 10, 11 feet, something like that. So it's tall. I've got big ones though. Yeah, instantaneous. Yeah.
Would you stake the aspen?
I probably would stake the aspens. They're not as prone to it. And they protect themselves, especially a cluster. A single trunk I would. Multis, it depends. If it's in a corner where it's protected by some fences or something, maybe not. It's out exposed by itself, yes. If you're up on a ridge line where you got the vistas and the wind, for sure I would stake it. If in doubt, stake it out. Yeah.